Wow.
This is cool. Look at it. He learned how to count to four. No,
Indeed, I did. That's my only real job here.
Hey guys, welcome to another Talking Trucks show. I'm Andre.
And I'm Kent with MrTruck.com.
As always, thank you for joining. We have a show loaded with some news.
Yes.
Because you just got back from Detroit.
Just got back from Detroit.
From the Ford 2020 Super Duty and commercial truck and van and RV event.
Did you know when you fly from Detroit to Colorado, you have to land in Nebraska?
What? Why? Why would you do that?
Because there was a storm in Denver. This getting to be a common thing. The storm comes up in Akron, they make us fly all over to get fuel. We almost ran out of fuel.
Oh, yeah, weather has been crazy in the Colorado and Denver area. It's storming right now. And then we have a lot of questions to get to, truck questions. And as always, we want to keep this show kind of free-flowing. So some of your feedback, let us know what you think, your questions, your comments.
Yes, I think so.
Are you waving too?
I thought maybe there's flies coming at us. You were getting ahead of them.
I'm sorry.
Getting crazy over there.
And as always, if you use Super Chat to donate a little bit, your question and comment will go up the line immediately. We'll try to answer it as quickly as possible. And the chicken is here because every time you donate, the chicken screams.
He does. He squawks. He's a squawker.
Yeah, so the big news to this week was that Ford announced their power numbers on the 7.3-liter new gas V8 engine pushrod. You were there.
Yes.
Tell me all the scoop.
And I tried like heck to get the numbers on the diesel. She would not talk. No matter how hard I squeezed her, she would not talk.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, it's one of the engineers. You know, you got to squeeze those. They like the chicken. You got to squeeze them once in a while to get information. But yes, there was so much cool stuff there. I mean, it's an interesting.
So first of all, let's say the numbers because there's some good news and I think there's a little bit of bad news.
Well, it's just that we all thought it'd be closer to 500, and the torque is 475. Look how close that is to 500. Why not?
Which is also more torque than the outgoing discontinued V10, right?
Well, yes. Oh, yeah, the 6.2 and the V10, but the 6.2 is still here.
6.2 V8 is still there.
Still here.
But the 6.8-liter V10, which was in the commercial trucks, is now put out to pasture.
Yes, and that's been everywhere. Yes, and that's in RVs, that was in ambulances, and now the 3-liter will be all those places, Class A motorhomes, Class C motorhomes, ambulances, trucks, 650s, 750s, it's going to be everywhere. Yes, it'll be everywhere.
And on our website, TFLtruck.com, and I think on your channel as well, we have a chart under this new Ford news that lists exactly which engine option and which transmission option is going to be on each truck.
That's true, and it is complicated because, the 7.3 gets the 10-speed.
Yes.
But the 6.2 gets the 6-speed or the 10-speed. It depends on what your towing capacity. All those numbers go together. You can get the 10-speed, or you get that 6-speed that they kind of derated, a while back when I was upset about it, because they used to be the same transmissions for the diesel and the gas. They just took out a couple clutches out of the pack.
Yeah.
Well, now they made it lighter duty. And so that's that option. That's the 6-speed, and on the transmissions are basically the same for the diesel and for the gas, except for you made it a little more heavy duty. It's a 10-speed, and it's actually the same length.
But it's not the same as F-150s.
No, the 150s they showed all the parts on the planetaries, the output shaft, and all that. Big difference. And we knew that was coming, but that's because we know we think they're going to be over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque on the diesel, but they won't tell us. But anyway, yes, the transmissions. There's like in a planetary on the diesel, the transmission's got 4 gears instead of 3, bigger output shaft. All that stuff's different. Torque converter's a little different. Clutch packs are a little different, and they're making that transmission very efficient. It's got little springs between the clutches, so when it's not running, it releases the pressure, so you have less parasitic loss. And I used to run 3 clutch packs. And now they'll run 2 when you're in the higher gears. So you got less parts moving. They did a lot of really cool stuff to it. And a PTO option.
Power takeoff.
Yeah, that's basically on the cabin chassis. And they've even got a PTO that goes on your drive line in the back. You got to chop, you got to take it to the aftermarket or an upfitter. And they chop the drive shaft up, put this giant PTO in there you can run a cement mixer off of.
So we have a couple of comments here. And let's hit the blue little arrow here because you're not up to speed on all the comments.
Not up to speed?
There you go. Boney Chuck is asking, is it an overhead valve? Actually, it's a push rod.
But it's a push rod. They're
push
going
rod
back
engine.
in time, and
There's-
they're saying that was more efficient.
They're going back in time.
And they're not going direct injection. They are going to port injection.
Yes.
They said all that was make it easier to maintain in the some of these trucks never go to a dealership. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's easier to work on those. They're a little more reliable, I guess, is what they're saying. But yeah, and it's interesting.
Red 7188 says the 2.7-liter EcoBoost is better than a 7.3 V8.
Really?
A couple of years ago,
Well, it could be. It's just a little smaller.
a couple of years ago, you and I think, were speculating that the Super Duty will eventually have an EcoBoost.
I really thought so. I thought that
But
the
it's not the
3.5 would
case
go
right
there.
now.
Now they guess
Right.
they didn't listen to me. They went another route.
No.
But that big engine, it's going to be interesting to see because they've been overhead cams for a long time, way back the Triton engines and all that. And now they're going to push rods. I don't know if this is a pattern, but they're saying for that engine, it seemed to work out the best. And they said they don't need to go to those higher RPMs. They were going to rear run about the high was about 4,000 RPM.
Yeah. So once again, I'm trying to read all your comments. Thank you for bringing them up. Somebody's also saying that the 7.3 is a poor man's diesel, because a diesel obviously is a lot more expensive.
Right,
And
right.
this engine is making the new 7.3, which will be unveiled or available for sale, at the end of this year? Right? That's
Yes,
kind of what they
they're
said.
kind of late. Yeah, you're probably right. November, December. I think you're right.
430 horsepower, which is, by the way, a class-leading number.
Yeah.
475 pound-feet of torque is, again, a class-leading number. If you consider the Ram 6.4-liter Hemi
Yes.
for heavy duty,
Yes.
that has 429 pound-feet of torque and 410 horsepower. And of course, GM has a new engine, right? The 6.6?
They do, and see, Ford's going to definitely jump in last and make their numbers higher. But look at GM's a 6-speed automatic on that new 6.6.
Right, the
Hemi is an 8-speed.
Yes. Ford is a 10.
And Ford's a 10-speed. So usually this is such a competitive market. I guess Ford next year may raise their horsepower and torque on it, but everybody else needs to get in line with the transmissions. I understand GM's reason, and actually Ram's had pretty good luck with that 8-speed. But it's just weird that Ford jumps ahead at all that. It's the only one in that class with a 10-speed. So
a lot of people are actually excited. For example, Motor City Prepper says this engine can be garage mechanic friendly. The
Yes.
7.3, because it's relatively simple technology.
yeah,
right?
that's what he was saying. He said you can work on it in the forest or wherever you're at and you break down.
Yeah.
It's easier to keep it cleaner too. The fuel, it's not as sensitive as a direct injection, the pumps and all that is.
Yeah.
It's something that you can actually keep running.
Got some cash.
Got a cash. Mark PMC1. Awesome.
Keep it up. We will keep it up. Thank you very much. We're trying to do these truck shows weekly, Thursday night, Thursday afternoons.
Yes.
So once again, but some people were a little bit disappointed by the power and torque numbers.
I did
on
too.
the
I really
7.3.
thought it would be closer to 500.
500.
I'm
Make it around
disappointed.
500.
Yes, we all kind of were shooting for that, but that's what they do. They try to get everybody excited, then they figure out who's claiming to know what's going on, then they'll make sure the number's different. They
Now-
do that on purpose. They mess with us.
Now, do you know about the rear ends? Do they still have the 4.3 differential in the big Fords?
Nobody seemed to know. I asked that question, and I talked to the guys doing that, and then they know they're Dana axles and sometimes Sterling axles, but they thought they were going to be about the same axle ratios as we have now. But there was not a
So
definite
4.3 is
answer on
currently
that.
available, right?
Yes, that's
There's a
available
410.
on the 450.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're still going to
410
have
is available.
410, the 355, maybe a
355.
373. They're
Yeah.
saying it's very similar to what we have now.
Yes.
So I try to get that out because you would think, a lot of times when they go to the 10-speed, then they actually go to different ratios. Like the 355
Right, that
got
makes
really
sense.
common because of that.
Makes
So,
sense.
and first gear is lower. That's we all know that. When you got 3 overdrives, and see too, they've done a lot of things to make the transmission smoother, to make it shift, easier. And it's quite a story with that. But also, besides looking at all the different sizes of parts that go in it, they also, you asked them about, you and Chevy and Ford collaborated on the 150 10-speed.
Yes.
We asked them, is that the same kind of thing? And they go, no!
No, this is
no way!
This is our own 10-speed.
Yeah, they said, it's a similar architecture, but they are not making this with GM. They're not sharing
Well,
with
GM is using an Allison-branded 10-speed.
Yes, so that's
So-
probably part of it. They want to have their own little brands.
Little world.
And Ford again made that
Yes.
statement. We're the only ones that make our own transmissions and our own engines. And GM's getting closer because the half ton anyway. They make their own transmission and diesel, and they use ZF, the German company. So they're not quite there, but Ford's still bragging about being the only one out there that makes his own engines and transmissions. But too, on the So that kind of clears that up. So it's not a GM 10-speed they're using.
No.
And it's really cool on the commercial trucks, which means cab and chassis. Instead of having a stop-start crap, they have a thing that puts the transmission in neutral, because Ford, it's the transmission to control stop-start. Where Ram, it has that e-torque that controls stop-start. So Ford has it in transmission already. So on this bigger transmission, which is the same length, 3.5 pounds heavier, and all those extra gears, it will stop you if you're on like basically level ground. It has all these criteria.
Sure.
Level ground, it will put the truck in neutral to save you fuel. And then when you let off the brake, that's by pushing on the brake.
Okay.
You're pushing on the brake, it goes to neutral.
Okay.
As long as you're not on a steep hill or something. And then when you let off the brake, then it puts it back in whatever gear you were in. So that's kind of new.
kind of to save pressure,
fuel. Well, it's to
save fuel.
Save fuel is really what it's about. But it will save on the transmission, because I don't know if you've taken a diesel apart, but in the torque converter, where those clutch planks are in the torque converter, it has these little notches. And when a diesel idles, it just sits there and does this. It sits there and beats itself up, where gas doesn't. So that would stop part of that. It wears on a torque converter. So they're trying to get ahead of that. And they've done so many different things to make it more efficient. So they're really big in trying to see what the fuel mileage is. We're going to see. Of course, we'll do our own tests because nobody else does it. But
just a couple of questions, comments before you move on. There's a few questions here. First of all, what's the price on this new V8? We don't have that yet. They didn't announce.
No, they
pricing.
didn't give us towing numbers. They didn't give us prices.
Okay.
They're going to feed us a little bit of information at a time.
Is it like piecemeal?
Yes, little bits.
But there's also no numbers on the new diesel, correct?
Diesel, they didn't tell us squat. They just told us that it went from an aluminum piston to a steel piston.
Okay.
And there's no skirts on these pistons. Look at even on the 7.3, you're looking at these pistons, little tiny things, and they took all the skirts off. So all it has is the bracing for the pin.
Wait, they're naked
for the
pistons?
connecting rod.
No more skirts?
No more. No more. Yeah.
So also some people are saying, first of all, they want to see the 7.3 in other vehicles like the F-150, maybe the Raptor. There's a lot of rumors about this, but no official information about if the 7.3 gas V8 will go into like an F-150 or Raptor or some other vehicles.
I don't know why it would, because they still love their EcoBoost. I can't imagine them doing that.
A lot of guys want it supercharged.
Yeah.
And I heard a rumor that some aftermarket companies are already thinking about supercharging the big 7.3. And I know like the guys at 5 Star Tuning are already thinking about, tuning the software of the engine.
Yeah.
Because they have been working on our V-tuning of the old V10 engines.
Yes.
So they're already thinking about tuning, so it could be very tunable.
Too, the transmission now, this new 10-speed, has all those modes we're used to in the half tons. Snow mode, deep sand mode. It's got all those different modes. The only one it doesn't have is the trimmer has an off-road mode. They had the trimmer too. Yeah, they had
what
that
did you
part
think
next
about
to us.
in person, looking at the trimmer?
Well, I've seen
Is it
them
big
before.
and tall and good?
They flew us out a month ago to stare at
Well,
them.
you see all this type of
Well,
stuff.
I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it is the black wheels and it's a monochromatic front and rear, so it's all, paint. Holy cow, $50 from Gaston Salerno?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow, your chicken is dancing.
Oh, he's excited.
I'm not sure what ARS is. There's also some money from Red 7188. So Gaston says, excellent job, guys. Do you think that Ford is making a mistake with a new 10-speed transmission? I don't think it will be very reliable.
It's for Red 71. Yeah, well, I don't know. The 10-speed has been out now for, 2 years?
In the F-150,
yes,
at least.
Yeah, and that's not nearly as robustly built as this one. So I don't know. I mean, no, I 10-speeds have been around a while. I mean, Ford's jumping in it, but I don't know. I mean, you always worry about the first model of
year or first model.
But they've been testing this for years. I mean, the guy kept talking about on the 7.3, 3,700 hours and all this other stuff. So they do a lot of testing. We see these guys running around all over the place. I don't know. I think they've been doing this a long time. I think they can build a 10-speed and have it reliable. And they have, I mean, the drive shaft, all the stuff on that thing, the output shaft, giant output shaft, more gears, more splines. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's robust.
So thank you. Argentinian peso was the dollar amount. Thank you, Gaston. So I heard rumors about this heavy-duty 10-speed years ago.
Yeah.
About 2 or 3 years ago, there was a code that was leaked. That, 10R 140 or whatever the code name for that transmission. So they've been developing this transmission
Well,
for.
do you remember when we did the Ike with Roman that time, and there was 3 of those pulling trailers?
Yeah,
I
and
told
you asked
Roman,
them what's
I said,
going
that's,
on.
That they're testing 10-speed against everybody else.
And that was months or years
I know,
ago.
well, it was years ago, and Roman
Yeah.
went and asked them, and they wouldn't tell him. But Roman and I speculated on that, and I would be betting money that's what they were testing then.
Yeah, so
big trailers.
they invest a lot of money into the testing, not only of the engine but also the transmission. So we'll have to see how it works. Red 7188 says, "Is this just a mid-cycle refresh on the Super Duty?" Yes, it's kind of a refresh because it's getting a new bumper in the front.
Yeah.
We have a front shot also, and also it. Well, we'll drive these new 2020 trucks a little bit
Right.
later in the year.
Yeah.
But they also have the electric steering overlay.
Yes.
Don't they have that?
Well, they do have that.
For-
and it's
for
part-
the
part of-
2020.
so you can back them up with that.
With a little knob.
That little
make
knob,
it easier
whatever
to turn.
the hell that's called. But anyway, they also too, and they didn't show them there. But remember, we went to something in January, and they showed that the high output diesel, what they call high output, but the diesel on their dually with the high Trader Toy numbers also has a different grill, so
Yes.
it can breathe better.
And
'Cause
air intakes.
Right, and I didn't ask them if they made the radiator bigger, but I think they talked about another radiator, maybe a third radiator, and they're getting a stack of them in there. But they're doing some of that for the cooling, just like what GM and Ram have done. Everybody's going to know they got to cool off all that power.
Yeah.
But the 10-speed, it's going to be interesting, and and just think you can go out and take it in all these snow modes, deep sand modes. You can have all kinds of fun with this, and with what they're doing to that transmission, it should get better fuel mileage than the 6.8 or the 6.2.
Yeah.
I
We'll have
think
to test
that-
it, for sure.
Yes, that
Yeah.
would be really neat because that's, of course, the goal and longevity. But I think they may have a winner there. I think it's cool. I mean, I was going to wait for one, but I ran out of time.
There's a question here. What did we do with the old air suspension on the Ram Rebel project? It did not have air suspension.
Yeah.
The Rebel Rouser, you can option it either with steel coils or air suspension, and we bought it with steel coils because we knew we wanted to update the suspension, maybe do something else to it. So we did not have air suspension for a purpose, and that was modification because it's easier to do without it.
Yeah. Well, it's got that's true. That's kind of how that works. The coils are easy to replace.
And upgrade, yes.
Yeah, they were talking about. I mean, along the lines of being more efficient with that transmission. They're talking about the torque converter locked up early and a few other things that they're trying to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think of the idea of a steel piston? We haven't had that in a long time. They've been aluminum forever. And now it's a small little thing, like saving no
for the
skirt,
diesel,
and it's
yeah,
all
I saw that.
reinforced.
I saw
And of course,
that.
that's a longer connecting rod to fill the gap, same stroke. But
I don't know what
do you
to,
think about
I don't
that?
know
It's-
what to think about it because I don't know what kind of drove that decision. Did they?
Well,
Is it
yeah,
more durability?
Well, it kind of points toward more power, that they needed the extra strength for more
like
power.
more heat, maybe.
Right, could be more heat, but I don't know if that would affect aluminum or the steel. But I'm thinking that they're going to have bigger pressures in combustion chamber, that they're going to need something a little stronger than that
Yeah.
aluminum one they had.
We have more cash.
Oh man, this is good. Bobby Z.
Bobby Z.
Are you a rap singer? What is it, Bobby Z?
Bobby Z could be a rap singer.
That's cool.
Will it be worth buying a 2020 over 2019 Super Duty? Boy, if you're looking at the Tremor, I would say yeah.
Yes, I would for any of them because that 10-speed is something I've been waiting for a long time. 4 more gears is a lot. That means something. And they came out. This body is the same body they've had since 17. That's when they went to aluminum. But too, back to horsepower and torque. Now the cabin chassis. What they do to them? They have a dyno certification. So this has. Did you read the numbers on
The
that?
powers are lower.
Yeah, 350 horsepower, and it is 468 pound-feet of torque.
So on the commercial trucks, they're torque liters.
Yeah.
But not horsepower liters.
Right, and
Yeah.
they've got to do that because they have to do a dyno certificate for the EPA because they don't have a finished body on them.
Yes.
You got to wait till the aftermarket guys or the what they call them, the outfitters.
Upfitters,
Outfitters
all that stuff.
get done adding all their little boxes to it.
You know what
cranes.
I did while you were in Detroit? I also had some fun here in Colorado, and this is kind of a preview. I went and I was actually was able to get a Chevy 5500 medium duty truck
Yeah.
just for an hour or two
Oh, really? Where'd you get that at?
from Johnson Auto Plaza.
Oh, the new Chevy.
The new medium duty
That
Chevy.
nobody knows where they are or
Right,
know anything
right.
about.
I grabbed one and I ran with it.
Yeah.
So I did the review that's coming up soon.
And that's a 6-speed.
That's a 6-speed diesel.
Yeah.
They don't have a gas version of it.
Right, it's a Duramax.
But it's also, it had a flatbed on it.
Oh, it did?
And it was a VIN completion. So,
Oh,
so
really?
it arrives with just a chassis cab, right?
Yeah.
And then the dealership gives it to an upfitter. In this
Right.
case, it was somewhere in Denver, I believe.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the upfitter puts the storage boxes, the bed,
Cranes, whatever they need.
and then they fill out the VIN
Yeah.
plates.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it's all proper.
Yeah, a lot of that gets done from the factory. They'll ship it on a train over to an upfitter,
Mm-hmm.
a bigger company, and like Donahue or any of those guys, and then they would fill out the VIN, and they're the ones that do the warranty on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they can actually change the GVW, all those numbers can be changed by the upfitter, but he's responsible for the warranty then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting thing on the cab and chassis.
Yes, and a lot of you are excited about supercharging, modifying. I think, like, I agree with you, Kent. I think it's worth, if you're considering to buying a truck or a Super Duty now, I think the 2020 looks really attractive. I think it's maybe worth waiting a little bit.
Yes, and I tried to wait for it, and I had
you
to get
couldn't wait longer.
I had to get the tax deduction, so I couldn't. But I've been waiting for that for a long time. I knew it was coming. But what else was I going to ask about these things?
There's one more thing, and then
One
let's
more.
move on from Super Duty and get into some questions because I've actually put a lot of them in.
Oops.
Levi P. So we've been talking about the 7.3-liter figures. It's worth pointing out on the Tremor, yes, you can get it with the Power Stroke diesel,
Correct. And you can
but
also
we
get
don't
it.
know what
Yeah.
the numbers are yet.
Right, and I'm worried about that because with the 7.3, the only thing I've seen them talk about is a 430 rear end. And I pray to God they'd offer some more options because the 4.3 is going to suck on fuel. They did that to the Excursion. That was one of the reasons
Yeah.
we no longer have an Excursion. They had a 430 and a V10. So I hope there's more options on that. We don't know that. Okay.
Bud Guy 8829.
Did you say Bud Guy? Bud Guy. He's like Bud Light.
Bud.
Bud.
Will the GM use an Allison with a 6.6 gas engine? I hope so, but there's no news about this
Right.
yet.
It's just, they're doing that same transmission they've had forever because it is dependable. But yeah, I mean, I would think they would want to use some kind of 10-speed. And, you know,
Yeah.
if Ford can develop one similar to the 150, so can GM. GM can take that and modify the 151 because it's the same design. It's just, you know, how much
Yeah.
you put into it.
By the way, today is also sales reporting day, so we know some of the sales numbers for at least Toyota and Nissan as far as trucks are concerned. We will have a story on TFLtruck.com, and the Toyota Tacoma sales are dipping a bit.
Oh.
So we'll be talking about that on the website. But let's get to the questions
Okay,
and talk a little
okay.
bit more about Fords.
So did you go out and race that truck you tried out, that 4500?
I couldn't race it. I just showed it at the fairgrounds.
Oh, you showed it us?
There's a fair going on. by the way.
Okay, so you were showing it to people. Okay.
No, did a video.
Oh, okay.
We have a viewer truck. John Polney submitted a truck to us, and a picture and a little story. It's a 79 Ford F350 dually.
Oh, I love that body style.
Look at that. It's a crew cab.
Back when you had window vents and you had a rain gutter, I love those trucks.
Yeah, and it's just like a modern truck because it's big and
Well, I like a
it's-
smaller doors on a crew cab. Those crew cabs were hard to find back
yeah,
then.
very hard to find.
So that's a dually, huh?
He did the modifications to
Okay.
the back axle as well.
Okay. Yeah, because it looks like a 3/4 ton in the front, a dually in the back, full floating axle. It could last forever.
Yeah, yeah. Also, so there's another question here from Colin. These are some of the submitted questions that you've been sending to ask@tfltruck.com. Colin is asking, which midsize truck should I buy for high mileage use? Interesting. So high mileage, some good fuel economy, and fairly good reliability as well.
On a midsize.
On midsize.
Well, after Toyota, what's your next choice? Because Toyota's got that title of most dependable, most reliable.
Midsize truck.
Well, yeah,
technically.
and I think everybody else is catching up to them. So I think that pretty soon you could say that they're all going to be real similar to that. I mean, the Frontier thing's 1,000 years old and it's still running. So,
Yes. Well, the obvious choice, if you want really good fuel economy, would be to get a GMC Canyon or like a Chevy Colorado with a diesel.
with a diesel. Yeah.
But now the Silverado 1500 with a new straight six.
Yes,
That's a mileage king.
I know. That's got us both salivating, whatever. We both want that truck. I want that truck too. I mean, it just sounds so cool. But yeah.
So yeah, they're hitting some really good numbers on their diesel in the 1500 class.
Which
so
is going to hurt the midsize class, I would think.
maybe a little bit. So I
Because-
would say Toyota would be a pretty good bet, although they're not ultimately the best MPG
No, they're
numbers.
just a reliability
or a little
thing.
diesel would work. A little diesel.
Colin did say he currently leases the GMC Canyon and he's very happy with it and was wondering specifically what your thoughts were on the baby Duramax.
We loved it when we tested it.
Thailand, go Thailand! That's where it's from.
The 2.8 Duramax 4-cylinder, we did the ike gauntlet with it.
Yes.
We did the MPG loops with it.
Yeah, it's not a powerhouse, but it's good.
No, it has a 6-speed behind it.
Right, right.
But we always loved its fuel efficiency and its power delivery as far as towing is concerned.
Yeah, and it comes with an exhaust brake. It comes with a tow.
So it's like a little big truck.
Yes, it comes with the brake
So
controller.
diesel is a great option there. Of course, right now there's a few reliability questions about it, but I never
on
experienced
the
any.
engine or what? What's
Well, overall on the truck,
Oh.
and so we've never experienced problems with it.
No, we don't get a chance to give them long enough to wear them out.
Meg Ruth had a question. Which hitch and extra tools equipment should I get for my Gladiator? Meg is trying to tow 5,500 pounds, about 565-pound tongue weight. Thank you for a very specific question. I plan on getting a Prodigy trailer brake controller. Interesting, we just did recently a trailer brake controller.
Right, and like I said, if you're going to get a Prodigy, get a P3. You don't get a P1 or P2.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I like direct link myself too. But no, she's doing good. She's talking about weight distributing hitch. It says stabilizer attached to the trailer. I guess that means weight distributing hitch. It's attached to the hitch and then it is attached to the trailer tongue. You do need that even though you're on 5,500 pounds. I think most of these companies will tell you at 5,000 pounds or above you need weight distributing hitch, and I certainly would.
Plus it's just more comfortable. We use Gen Y hitches.
Right.
They're height adjustable. They're really heavy duty and really strong. And they do have a capability for weight distribution as well.
Yeah, you can get a special shank just for that. And a 20-foot Airstream, that's nothing about that. I mean, those are very aerodynamic. They're really cool how they're made. But
is this Meg right here? Is this her?
Well, that's got to be what she's describing. But that still is a billboard. So the side wind will get you in trouble. You really need to have that weight distributing hitch so you don't have a lot of push from the side. It's worse than headwind is that side wind. You definitely need a weight distributing hitch.
So
Plus,
Meg was also asking what kind of tools or equipment would you recommend carrying while towing, and do you have a specific brand of towing mirrors that you recommend?
What are you working on, the truck or the trailer? Because there's two different sets of tools. You're going to need some good tire wrenches and jacks and maybe some good old
star wrench.
Yeah,
a star wrench is cool.
Yeah, and you're going to need maybe some slime if you run out of spare tires. You can always slime them.
Wheel chocks
and a little air compressor. You never know on the road what can happen to you. You could have four flats.
I really hate using those factory jacks that they put into
trucks. You like bottle jacks better? Or?
Either bottle jack or actually a floor jack. What is that called?
Those are heavy sons of a guns.
Yeah,
I hate carrying floor jack around.
So it's I just dislike the factory jack because they're so small.
They're scissors. They're garbage.
Anyway,
this is a good towing question. I think Motor City Max asks, do weight distributing hitches hurt unibody framed vehicles?
Well,
they can.
European rascals. The American SUVs don't have a problem with unibodies generally. But the European Audis and all those guys,
BMW, Mercedes,
BMW, and I think their concern is just that there is no frame, there's subframe. So you put the weight distributing hitch actually applies pressure to the back of the truck, and I think their fear is that the floor pan, which is your basic frame from subframe to subframe, can bend,
could warp,
and your doors may not open right. That's I think because I don't think that happens, but I think that's their fear. And that's what I've put them on a lot of Jeeps, weight distributing hitches, and I've seen a lot of people use them on Grand Cherokees.
Yeah.
And that's a unibody, subframe to subframe. It's just a pan of sheet metal in there, and I've never seen one bend. But maybe the junk coming out of Europe. I mean, maybe there's something we don't know. But that's what the Tesla, they had the same thing. It's a unibody. They didn't want to use spring arms or weight distributing hitch on it, or
we
what?
didn't have the recommendation from from Tesla themselves. But I was concerned. I didn't want to risk it.
Did they explain that? Did they have anything to say about it? Because I've never seen one get bent with a weight distributing bar, so I don't know if it's just
But we're towing under 5,000 pounds.
Right, well, that's all it's rated at.
Towing under 5,000 with a Tesla, for example, Tesla Model X.
Yeah.
The weight distribution is not quite one of the issues.
But that's what I was saying, like what we did with the GM thing, side wind. Even if you got a big little trailer back there and it's tall, that wind will hit you, and you wish you had weight distributing hitches. I mean,
and a little sway control.
Yeah, and on those heavy-duty 2020 Chevys we did up in Oregon, they didn't need it, but they had it because we were pulling big box trailers, and they know about side wind. So You know,
I don't want to
look
risk
in your owner's manual.
So
on
Roman
any of
just
that.
bought the Tesla. You know,
Yeah.
it's a TFL money, and for me to bend the floor panel.
Well, that's
on
a
it,
real world review, dadgummit.
not yet. I'm not going to bend it yet.
You chicken. Yeah, right. But anyway.
I knocked over the hula girl.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, the hula girl.
Is she okay? I need to give her
Yeah,
mouth to
she's-
mouth. What do I need? But you know, I would always look in your owner's manual and go with that because hopefully they know a little more than we do. We never know.
What's up?
Next question.
Oh,
Okay.
but you had a question, Zach.
Yeah, we have to keep moving. I'm sorry. We're very we're spending a lot of
We
time.
yak too much.
Adding a rear locker to a Nissan Titan SV comes from Venomous. Venomous sent this in. I have a Titan SV 2017. I recently got stuck in the muddy part of a beach and ended up pretty stuck. Is it too much of a hassle? Is it expensive to install a rear locker? So yes, you can get aftermarket lockers.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. They're really good ones, like maybe the ARB selectable lockers. A lot of them are air actuated as well.
Yeah.
I have
don't-
one solution without installing.
Oh, it's
without,
your special pedal
it's
toy.
not- it's 2
It's
foot
that pedal,
driving.
man.
So what you could try is 2 foot driving off road. So you basically apply your brake all the way, then you set in drive in low gear, in low
Yeah.
for off road. You set your throttle to a comfortable level, maybe like 1500 RPM, something
Okay.
low.
Yeah.
And then slowly release your brake pedal and actually adjust the crawling speed of your vehicle
Okay.
with your brake without moving the throttle. And what that does is that applies a little bit of braking to the spinning
Right,
tire
Right.
and actually kind of almost acts like a locker.
That sounds
So-
like something Land Rover would come up with.
Yeah, I learned it in off-road school.
That's cool. That's cool.
A few people are asking me if I have my CDL yet. I still have the permit. I still did not do the driving test. So
But you
that's-
will this summer. It's
that's
going to happen.
Coming.
It's
coming.
coming.
I don't have my CDL. Next question is from Matt. Do octane ratings make a difference for the Ford 6.2-liter V8 in the F250, F350 gas trucks? So I want to do a proper
I
test
don't
for
think
this.
we've tested that.
No.
I've tested on my EcoBoost
Uh-huh.
with 355 with premium versus that, and it made about a 2 miles a gallon difference on my truck. But they recommend in the owner's manual if you're pulling a trailer or if it's hot out to use premium. Premium's so freaking expensive. I don't do it,
It
very
is.
often.
It is.
But I have done it, and I always get better, and especially at highway miles. If you're cruising, 500, 600 miles, it will pay out. Because but I don't know. I've never tested these bigger trucks with it, and with those different axle ratios like that, it may not even notice it. A 430 rear end may not notice anything you do to it.
Yes.
As far as gas, but some engines are made to
Yeah,
react
and
to that.
we
Like
need
the
to
6.2 is another
remember
one.
how we did the speed test? So we went to
Oh,
different speeds on
right,
a highway towing,
right.
and it was an improvement, obviously, a 15% improvement.
Yeah, on a 2020 Silverado.
Slowing down
Heavy
with a
duty,
trailer.
yeah.
We need to do the same thing with octane, but that's more difficult because
Yeah, and I doubt
changing octane,
Yeah.
that means you have to drain the tank or use up all of your fuel.
Right, and some of those tests, you're not going to do it in a little 100-mile loop that we do. You need more mileage for a real good test. So we need to go like Oklahoma again and do some of those tests.
Yeah, let's
on
go
our
to
way
Oklahoma. Bobby Z says, is Ford going to make an electric truck? Indeed, Bobby Z, because
They will.
last week they just showed electric prototype towing a train.
They're teasing us. They know it's coming, and we know it's coming.
And we have another spy images of a Ford prototype testing on TFLtruck.com. So that's really interesting. Next question comes from Tim. This is a prepared question. Transmission thump banging issue on his Toyota Tacoma 2016. During the warm-up cycle, the 6-speed automatic on my 2017 Tacoma will thump or bang while downshifting from second to first during a routine stop. Have you ever experienced this?
I don't think it's normal. I mean, it could be driveline, it could be universal joint, it could be a
Exactly.
pinion, bearing. I mean, there's a lot of things you need to check out.
So this was a really long question. I already edited it down, but I'll give the synopsis here. So yeah, he has a thump or banging sound when he comes to a stop. Once the truck reaches operating temperature, once the transmission gets up to operating temperature, everything's fine. He talked to multiple dealers. Multiple dealers at least told him it was normal. He has family members, his dad and his brother also have Tacomas and say they have the same issue. and he's been talking to owners that all have the issue. He's owned Toyota trucks for about 30 years and is considering actually switching out of the Tacoma because of this problem.
Well, does he have, how many miles does he have on the truck?
He didn't say.
Oh.
It's a 2017 Tacoma.
So not
You know,
many.
I mean,
one issue.
he could do a service on it. You know, do they change the filter and
Yeah,
oil
but
just
it's
to
a
see
new
if that
truck.
makes?
It's
Oh, it's that
pretty-
new?
Well,
Oh.
2017. It's only 2 to 3 years old.
Well, it's a Toyota. He may have 200,000 miles on it, but now I don't know what he does.
But one item, yeah, you're right. It could be a high mileage truck. One thing I did notice with this generation Tacoma, sometimes it hunts for gear. Like
Yeah.
when we're in the mountains,
Yeah.
just driving around, it can hunt between like 4th and 5th. It's
Right.
not sure which gear it wants to be.
Yeah, Tundra does
And,
that too. That seems to be a Toyota. Well,
and
a lot
Tommy-
it usually has to do with 5s and 6 speeds. It's not usually that apparent in 10 speeds. But
Yeah. One more donation from Colton Lee,
Thanks, Colton.
$2.
Oh, golden hitch on half tons. Yeah.
Half-ton diesels.
Yeah.
We gotta test every diesel.
Yes, we will.
So
By golly.
that
Diesel
I'm,
Nation.
I'm planning that. Hopefully in September, October, we can get it done.
be
And for
fun.
2020, Tommy talked to the engineers of Tacoma. They have updated the software on the transmission to kind of smooth out some of those transmission issues.
Yes, yes.
So it was a software fix.
yeah, because see,
So
that's a big jump
I don't
between
know.
first and he said first and second.
Yeah.
That's a big jump. You know, the 10 speeds are real close together, so it doesn't. You don't hardly get any movement like that smooth. But that big of a jump and the right axle ratio under a load, I mean, that may be normal. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not really mechanics here, even though we play one on TV. So.
No, we're reviewers. We're not really
reviewers, yeah.
yeah.
So we're not really going to
So
be detailed.
we have 2 more questions really
mechanical
quick.
answers.
Lightning round or more of a lightning round. Tyler says, what's your opinion on traction bars and letter bars? Are they good upgrade for a stock truck? Are they good for towing? Will it affect your payload? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, is he going to go drag racing? Is that what he needs traction
I
bars?
hope so.
'Cause those are the ones that go on the outside
so.
to keep the back end on the
So
ground.
what I noticed with my old Duramax, I had a 2002 Chevy Duramax. When I was towing, we went to Lake Powell, and there's a sandy beach. You know, you have to tow, or I was towing a trailer through a sandy beach,
Yeah.
and you get axle hop.
Yes.
As soon as you get like loose traction,
Yeah.
you just kind of start hopping, and
Right.
you have a trailer on.
Right.
it's really a mess.
Yeah, that's
So
that's
a
why the
traction
racers
bar,
do it. Yeah.
traction bar would help that a bit because you know the power is going and the springs, leaves are kind of twisting,
sure.
right?
Yeah, and that's and things are getting a little out of order too because one leaf will be more compressed than the other, and you actually got a configuration.
So that helps
there
for
that's-
that. But if you boost your power, if you're going racing,
Whoa, quack! Yeah, $5 from Hawkeye. Yes.
Hawkeye 2K16 will Ford add a winch to the Power Stroke tremor. The rumor says yes. The official word says nothing.
Well, yeah, I would bet that they will because
Not in 2020.
No,
likely.
no, they got to have something to do next year. You got some amazing new products. We got to buy another one next year. That's how that works.
Yes. So traction bars also work really well for higher horsepower, higher torque.
Right.
trucks.
If you're going to go out to your local racetrack, you got to have them.
Yeah.
Gotta have
James says has an Expedition Max.
One
So
sec before we get to that.
yeah.
In response to the Tacoma question, the transmission bang thump issue, Messenger Max says throw some transmission treatment in there. That worked for mine.
So transmission
So it
treatment.
might help.
It may help.
Oh, for that, yeah.
Transmission additive.
And there
If it
probably
is
is an
slipping
additive
there.
made just for that from Lucas Oil or one of the bigger companies. There probably is something made that because that's about the clutch packs in there and when they engage. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some additives that would certainly help. I mean, I'm the cheap guy, so I would do that first before I tore the thing apart. But
All right, Andre.
So just final prepared question here. James just recently purchased a 2019 Expedition Max.
I did want to point, it's not so much a question, just more of a sharing experience.
Yeah, and James says he bought it because he kind of warmed up to the truck from watching some of our reviews, which is great. Thank you, James.
we love that Max Expedition.
And he lives in Arizona, and he tows about 7,500 pounds trailer. He tows it between Phoenix and Payson, and he has 4 kids, and it's a 6-seater. And he says he looked at the transmission because it's very hot. Transmission temperatures are, he's watching them, and he says he saw the transmission temperature as high as 240 degrees. But he's never experienced this problem with his 2013 Expedition.
Oh yeah, and that is a 10-speed automatic
Yes.
and an EcoBoost.
So usually what happens is I mean, all these trucks, have loops, cooling loops. Usually a transmission cooler,
Right.
and
Front of the radiator, behind the radiator, all over the place.
engine cooler, oil cooler, everything. So 240 degrees is rare. I don't know if I've ever seen one of the EcoBoost trucks with that temperature. So maybe it's getting really hot where you live. Phoenix.
Well, he's in Arizona.
Phoenix,
If
120
that was
degrees.
in the summer, that's like the most toasty place you can go. So you
yeah.
have problems with tires and everything in Arizona. You guys are pretty brave people just to go through all that.
And he's concerned with the cooling capacity on his 2019 Expedition, and he says it may not be enough.
Well, he has a towing package, doesn't he, or did he
Yes.
say? He's got a towing package, so he's got probably a little bigger radiator, extra towing, and sometimes they do a few other things.
So he did say that he does like the truck. He said he just needs to find a transmission cooler, or either an oil cooler or a bigger radiator. He says, I do like the new Expedition, but cooling is an issue, and I wanted to give you my experience to share with others if they're looking into buying the new Expedition.
Yeah, and check trace from the transmission to the front where the cooler is. Make sure there's not a restriction or a couple tumbleweeds stuck in there or something.
And maybe an aftermarket transmission cooler.
Yeah, you can get bigger coolers for it, and that might be
help.
if he has that problem. If in Arizona, I would do a whole bunch of stuff with vehicles. Yeah, I would get some really thick tires. And,
Well, it sounds like he's towing heavy, 7,500 pounds plus 4 kids. So
Yeah.
he's really pushing this truck to the max. So you may need to add a little bit more cooling capacity.
Yeah, and his Ford dealer, that's probably still under warranty. Get some ideas from them. Have them check it out.
Any updates on the 2020 Ranger? No. We don't have any news about the Bronco. Several people have asked about the Bronco.
Right.
I'm betting that the Bronco may show up at the this year's LA Auto Show.
Could be.
That's my bet,
Yeah.
because it's kind of a show for that type of vehicle, kind of a lifestyle vehicle.
Yeah. If they're targeting
And
California,
that's
that
going to
would
be in
a good
November.
idea.
So hopefully we'll see it there.
We like to tease us forever. Look on this darn Ford. We started this process in January, and here we are. What is it? August, and all we know is power numbers on one engine out of 2. We don't know towing. I mean, come on, Ford.
Ford is.
What are they going to spoon feed us our next little bit of information? We're hungry. We want that stuff.
Yes.
Oh.
But we're excited, obviously. So, so thank you for all your comments and questions. We're still reading the chat room. A lot of good discussion here, and a lot of comments actually about the Ford engines. And obviously, when we get more information, we'll let you know.
And that's what they want us. They want us to be talking about the 7.3 a bunch, chat rooms and everywhere else, because now we have a little bit of information. But I still want to know what people's thoughts are. And I don't know if the pistons in a 7.3 are aluminum. I couldn't tell. And they got rid of the skirts on that too, but it had different colors, and they never talked about the piston, and it was so complicated I couldn't even ask them. But we do know that they're steel. They went back from aluminum to steel. And that's interesting to me. I mean, I'm not a body or an engine builder. I like to know if people think that that's for longevity, but that does give you a clue that they've got, some really good combustion chamber power going on, that they're going to jack up the power. And that's one of the things you would do is change the strength of your pistons, I would think.
And I would say the 7.3 probably has room to improve too.
Yeah.
Maybe if like Chevy or Ram come out with a bigger power number, I think Ford can answer.
Oh yeah. Well, you've seen the intake manifold on a 7.3. It's up here, the engine's down here, and here's your you can stick children in that big cave between the engine and the intake.
We do not recommend sticking children in your engine bay.
You can cook food in there, but I mean that's where the blower would go. I'd stick the blower in there.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. We'll see you next week on Thursday for Talking Trucks. And I'm going to play us out with a little bit of music. Thank you for joining, guys.
I think you should just sing, Andre. What's your favorite song?
Hallelujah,
Hallelujah. What the hell?